greetings upon you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you so much for joining me here again on another live stream, another conscious evolution, another opportunity for us to be patient as we sit smack dab in the middle of infinity. I appreciate you joining me. So much love to you. So much love to you. We have Eden saying good morning already, and Terpillis saying hey to every one of you beautiful souls here. Hope your day or your night is going great and that all is well. I'm sending you all infinite love, peace, positivity. Add there patience and energy. Terpillis, thank you. Thank you so much, friend, for joining us today, for choosing to spend a moment of your infinity with me. How nice of you, friend. How nice of you. Thank you. Genuinely, I cannot even fathom how grateful I am. Thank you, Shannon, for joining me. I needed that mouth. Shannon, thank you for joining us, friend. Like this is for both of us. I appreciate you joining me. Hello, Mel. Hello, friends. What a beautiful new scarf, right? My mom randomly during the podcast yesterday was like, "Yes, here, new scarf for you." And I was like, okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. New scarf. I don't mind if I do. And it's blue. It's blue. It's the first blue scarf I have, and I went through this whole trip of like what blue signifies in my life. And it has some purple as well, it has some light greens. So it has like green, light blue, purple, as a little sequence of togetherness. And just being able to wear something like that with that intention, thinking of it from this perspective of the infinite, and what these colors have signified within the infinity for as long as we have been infinitely infinitizing. I am one that has chosen to assume the responsibility for the pebble called Earth. It's a little bit of a hard one. I am the one that has chosen to assume the responsibility for the pebble called Earth. And you're like, what's this dude about pebbles and stuff? So like this idea of the infinite ocean, that instead of thinking of things as finite, to imagine yourself as a point of consciousness, a drop emerging from an infinite ocean, literally smack dab in the middle of infinity. And you get to stare out into this infinite ocean in every single direction, and you get to feel something of that. And then you can take little pebbles and you can be like, oh, let's see what happens if I tell myself I am unworthy. Bloop. And it makes these little ripples. And you're like, interesting ripples. And like, let's see how I feel when I tell myself I'm loved. And you throw a little pebble into the water, and bloop, it makes these little ripples, and you can feel something about that. But at the end of the day, you were the one throwing the little pebbles. I don't know if there's any more pebble things worth saying here. Is there? Maybe I'll read like a few of them leading up to the whole pebble understanding, so you can maybe like have a little bit more context. So it goes, you are always creating what you desire. So again, within this perspective of if you're in the middle of infinity right now, and I do believe you are, right? Like there has been an infinite amount of stuff that has happened before this moment, right? Because you don't know how much has happened before this moment. And there will be an infinite amount of stuff that will happen after this moment, again into the future, because you don't know. None of us do. And yet, here we are, now, in this moment, smack dab in the middle of that infinity. And from that perspective, you are always creating what you desire. And the second one goes, the way of the heart begins with a recognition that you are already loved by the only source that matters. What we've shared in this space, from this context of us being the infinite soul, all of us having the infinite soul within us, that soul fundamentally only loves. It doesn't do anything other than love. It's like, yeah, I love it. No matter what the context, and that's the yikes part, no matter what the context, it can be as horrific as you can imagine. It can be, and I've had these moments, in meditation, these demons that have these teeth protruding out of their faces, and while these teeth are protruding out of their faces, you can see like an eye coming out, and then these teeth eat the eye, and then they like melt back into itself, and it's horrific. It's absolutely terrifying to be looking at something like that. And yet I can be scared, I can be in a state of fear, I can tell myself that that is something that's wrong, and I can perpetuate that feeling, and I can continue feeling like that, that stuff. Or I love it, and I honestly, I'm not even joking. I literally look at it and I tell you, I love you too. If this entity is right in front of me, I love you too. And then as soon as I do that, it starts to dissipate. This shape, this form of tension, of like separation, of contention, that this is something that shouldn't be. It melts away and it opens up into something more beautiful. So recognizing that you are loved by the only source that matters. Your consciousness, your ability to be aware of this moment is the love from the only source that matters. Okay? Your greatest joy and fulfillment is in wholly and deliberately accepting responsibility for the whole of creation. And that one is difficult for us. That one is very difficult for us, especially looking at our creation, at our world as it is right now. That's a very difficult one, to find joy and fulfillment in wholly and deliberately accepting responsibility for the whole of creation. You are creating this reality right now, friend. Literally, literally creating this reality. Like, you are seeing pixels light up on a screen, and your speakerphone has a little magnetic driver that sends ones and zeros as electric impulses, creating little frequencies, adding pressure waves into your air, in your environment, and that air hits your eardrums, and then you elicit meaning from these frequencies. You are the one creating this reality right now. Desire, intention, allow, and surrender. This is the way. What is it you want, friend? What is your intention for wanting this thing? Will you allow it to actually come into your life? And then, in allowing it, will you surrender your idea of control, your idea of what it should be, your idea of how it should be? And then, this thing we're saying that we actually read first is, I am the one that has chosen to assume the responsibility for the pebble called Earth. So, right now, in this moment, acknowledging that we are the infinite, acknowledging that we are smack dab in the middle of this infinity, the pebble, the experience, the consciousness, the moment we've chosen is to be here on Earth. You have chosen responsibility for the pebble called Earth. You're here on Earth right now. And I got to have this conversation with my good friends yesterday on our podcast. And it was this genuine transmission of talking about what the future might hold and how things will be. And I mentioned, like they were like, oh, I look forward to having this, podcast chat again in 20 years and to see where we are. And they were like, at least one of my friends was feeling a little bit uncertain about the future as it looks right now. And I mentioned to him that surely, it could be, I could be wrong about everything. I am more than willing to admit that. But we might be right about everything. We might be right about the beauty that there's still going to be for us in the future. And might have lost my train of thought a little bit. There was some other context that I wanted to share. Hmm. Hmm. Strange brains. We're here, friends. Oh, there we go. It came back. So, with this context of, what if the world is going to end? What if there's going to be world war? What if there's going to be massive famine? What if there's not going to be enough access to resources? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And the way that I kind of, and this might be naive, and please tell me if it is, the way that I find solace, the way that I find a certainty that all of these what ifs are false, is the fact that I believe I'm powerful. I believe you are infinitely powerful. And if you weren't infinitely powerful, why would you choose to be here now? I genuinely don't believe you came here to suffer. I don't believe you came here to have the world end in front of your eyes. I don't believe it. I believe you're here to save this world, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. Like, we get to choose. As much as you want to believe this, as much as you don't want to believe this, we get to choose. We get to choose everything. We get to choose how we feel in the moment. We get to choose the dialogue going on in our head. We get to interject. We get to choose what it is we're going to experience next. Like, you get to choose if you want to stand up and pour yourself a glass of water right now. You get to choose if you want to do a single squat. And by these choices, we will create the reality that we want to live in. And I mentioned this so clearly, and it felt so true to me in that moment where Christian was like, "Oh, what if the world has ended?" And I was like, "You know what's gonna make the difference? Right now. What you believe about your future right now is your future, because the future does not exist. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is this moment and how you live in this moment, how you choose to believe in yourself, in the world, and other human beings in this moment. And that belief, that trust, that acknowledgement that you are a part of something so much larger than yourself, and then continually giving to that part of yourself, right? That is how we make the future we want to live in. And you friends are doing it. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now. You are doing it right now. You cannot help but do it. You are too powerful to not do it. I think my Reddit might be bonking a little bit. I appreciate you, friends, being here in this moment. If it hasn't bonked completely, that is. What? Those colors. Thank you for the love again, Shannon. We have Isaac joining us as well with the lovely scarf. Speaks to my water sign. To mine as well, Isaac. I'm feeling it, dude. Isn't it funny that we tense our head and face muscles to think harder? It is funny. You know, it's strain. It's strain. And as soon as I stopped straining, as soon as I was kind of like, oh, well, I guess it's gone, then it comes back. Shannon, how are you? Good day to you, Siobhan. Siobhan joined us on the YouTube today and on the yoga. And I'm talking about people who's joining us on the YouTube. Toast Malos says, tips hat to you as well, Toast Malos. Thank you for joining us today. I'm a bag of emotions today, Isaac. What is your day yesterday? Oh, Shannon. Holding you in this moment. Today's stream, even though we got pretty deep into talking about a bunch of stuff already, today's stream, I want to do with the intention of like taking into consideration what patience means, and especially I feel it's so important for us to practice patience in the current state of reality we are in right now. And the way that I think about patience, and I had this genuine moment of meditation where it almost like became visualized to me. Unfortunately, I have broken my brain in to only see infinity and fractals and everything, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do the same to yourself. But anyway, so this infinity symbol, like the two sides of the infinity, smack dab in the middle is where you are right now. Your past and your future in front and behind you, and you in the middle of that, right? Everything that is going on in the infinite universe. You can think of it in scale as well. It goes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we can go down and down and down into the atomic levels as well. Again, you as smack dab in the middle of that infinity. And then I can continue going with examples like that. But I want to bring it into this understanding of patience, right? Like if you have this infinite past behind you and you have this infinite potential in front of you, where are you going? Why are you going anywhere? Why are you reaching for it when it's already there? It's already here in this infinite moment, and all you can be is patient. And I genuinely I see it as almost like a gravity thing. So if this infinity symbol is like stacked in this plane of existence, right? And there's a little ball at the top of this side of the infinity. It will roll down into that little, crevice, into that little crossing point, and it will become solid there. It will become patient in that energy state. It will reduce, it will melt down into a state of non-movement, of calm, of peace, and it won't necessarily be reaching. But when we reach, either when we try and solve problems that have come from our past, we push that little marble up that infinity again, and we can push it down and we can like reminisce about the good things that have happened in our past. And that might be the upwards side of the infinity, or we can push it down into like, oh, these are the horrible things that have happened to me. again taking ourselves out of this present moment, and then doing the same going into the future. And we can imagine that the future is going to be horrible, pushing ourselves down into the infinite spectrum of the infinity as it comes, or we can imagine it to be positive and to think about the ideas or the business plans, whatever you want, whatever it is you think about a lot. All of these things, when you think about your future, they're not necessarily bad, but they do take you out of this moment, and they rob us of patience. They rob us of patience because you cannot be patient if you're unstable. You cannot be patient if you're in this potential state, right? Like, if this infinity is stacked in this plane of existence, you cannot have that patience of like, oh, I guess I'm gonna wait for things to happen when you're literally potentially charged. Like, you want to move back into the present, you want to move back into the present from the past or from the future. And it's only when you find yourself in this present moment, when you realize that you are consciousness experiencing matter again. Consciousness, nature. You are that nature experiencing consciousness. You are that consciousness experiencing nature, and the crossing point is that infinity. And when you can rest into that state, when you can rest into that, what you are, into that moment, into this moment, we allow ourselves to be patient. And I was thinking about it today. I was like really thinking about patience today. These streams, you friends have sent messages. And if you're still here, you might be practicing patience to wait for me to actually get to your message. And we know now that practicing patience is literally something that's good for our brains. It causes us to become more than we already are. So thank you, friends, for being patient. There is an interesting on What's Talk where he goes into silliness of human straining to think harder. Oh yes, yeah. Like, I was thinking about that as well as soon as you said it. Actually, Isaac, like trying to force a turd almost. That was, I think, his context. I hope that my day was good. I think I need a tea break because I ate a fifth of edibles and I smoked two bowls and I just didn't get that crazy schmack. So I'm gonna take some time, I guess. I think that might be best for the bear. Sometimes we have to learn that lesson the hard way. It was definitely on the frequency though. Jasmine and I made pizza, started making cheese, and played a lot of games. Today we're finishing up our beer cheese. I don't even know what beer cheese is. And making some pretzels and heading to the Grammys for sunshine and family. Who's that Pippi? Cutie Pippi. She's probably in the background somewhere. Thank you, Isaac, for sharing an insight into your world with the Bay. We have Chow joining us. I'm doing well, Chow. I hope you're still here, but the Bay. How are you doing? How's India treating you? Hash Truffle, thank you for being here, friend. We're here together. Toast, love to you. Avevi! We've missed you, friend. Thank you for joining us on the Roam of the Silver. Love to you. Earth is a nice pebble. It is. It's one of my favorites. Who needs tears? Thank you for joining us on the YouTube. So much love to you as well. It's not just a boulder, it's a rock. Over 9,000. This is mumbo jumbo. It might be, friend. It might be. But at the end of the day, you can only experience that which you are. So if I'm mumbo jumboing, you are the mumbo jumbo, not me. I am but a projection of your consciousness, friend. Alright? If you didn't take yourself throughout your entire existence, lived, got traumatized, got, to fall in love, got to be absolutely devastated that something wasn't going to be one way or another. And then throughout all of these processes, eventually finding yourself in this moment to hear the mumbo jumbos that I'm making, then you wouldn't be. And yet here you are. Why? Why if not for the mumbo jumbo? Why if the mumbo jumbo wasn't something necessary to hear sometimes? Where do you get your shirt? I got them from a mall friend. Like, I was walking through the mall and I was looking into windows and I saw shirts, so I got them. It's there. It's always is. Just a little buried at the moment. It sounds like quite a day, Isaac. I'm happy you had a great day, friend. Thank you. Shannon, sending love to Isaac as well. My dude froze. I did. I hope it's not still frozen. Good day, Molly. Your mom is so wise, Mel. Love your new scarf. Thank you. Thank you so much. Technically, she's had the scarf before. It was just kind of stored away. I guess that's the way you say it. My dude froze. Hope I'm still I'm unfrozen at the moment. Kayana! Also hello and good morning to all. Hello to you, Kayana. I'll get to your comment now. Hey, to Apple Maker says he does that sometimes. He's a skilled mime and did window modeling at the local mall. Hmm, I can see that fractal. I don't know if I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna get paid well to do it, but I can see myself doing it. Any thoughts on dealing with reality as it is, dealing with not matching expectations and plans that we had set? Patience. That is literally that's my only thought on dealing with it. Mixed federal. I'm so cold. You see the goosebumps forming on my body right now? Goodness, I was like coming into stream today thinking I'm not gonna die of cold. Little did I know. I'll be back in a second. Do keep the space for me. Be patient. Hmm? Feel into that patience. You're like, who the fuck? Who the fuck does this guy think he is? Think I'm gonna be patient? You think I have time to be patient, Melt? I don't know. Do you? I'll see. I'll get to see. There's 314 people watching right now. Like numbers of pi. So, I'll see. I'll see just how patient humanity can be. I'll be back in a moment. No, that's cool. Hoo-wee. Oh, okay. That's impressive. We only lost 31 souls. I mean, I didn't lose them. They're still somewhere within the infinity, experiencing their infinite presence. But the fact that you friends were patient enough to wait for even a moment is honestly astounding. Like that's genuinely impressive. In a world where people cannot spend 20 seconds watching a video that they don't want to. The fact that you waited looking at one side of the infinity says a lot about you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any thoughts on dealing with reality as it is? Yeah, patience, friend. Genuinely patience. Like I genuinely believe that reality not matching our expectations or the plans that we set, the reason we trip out about that stuff is because we're impatient. Not so much because things aren't happening the way we want them to, but usually because things aren't happening the way we want them to in the exact time frame that we want them to happen in. And if we can become more patient, everything, and I swear this to you, friend, and you can take me up on it, right? Everything will happen for you if you're patient. And again, I think in context of infinity. So if you can acknowledge to yourself that you are literally an infinite soul experiencing a temporary existence, you'll realize that patience is something that is highly necessary. Let me say it that way. The thing that you are on the most fundamental level has experienced all that has ever been. Never mind just has experienced a lot, has experienced everything within existence. Everything. Everything. So then you come into this life as a human being and you want to do all of these things, you want to experience all of these things, you would like to have all of these things. And then they don't happen in the context of infinity in the way that you've experienced them before. And then you lament, you create suffering out of nothing. You suffer more in mind than you do in actuality. You cannot be patient if you are unstable. Basically, the gist of a feeling that I've been having recently in the midst of really trying to let go of some things, and I'm focusing my energy inwards on myself. Also, hello and good morning to all. Also, cool scarf. Thank you, Kayana. I love you, friend. I love you, Kayana. I love all of you. And I saw this thing, and it might be a little bit cliche, but there's this billboard or something where it just says, "I love you," and it continues. And if you think I can't love you because I don't have a reason to, people can hate with no reason, so I can love too. Right? Like we can love one another without a reason. And the reason that I love you, I do love you for a reason though, unfortunately. I don't love you for no reason. I love you because I know that we are not different. That what I see, if I'm sitting here in this moment looking at this tree, we might have a different story that we tell ourselves about what it is we're looking at. But on the most fundamental of levels, we are seeing the exact same thing, looking from the place of of consciousness, of being aware that you see something. And if I am to love myself, I love that part of myself, that awareness, that I. And all that I am is the I that we are. So I can truly, without a shadow of a doubt in my heart, say that I love you because you're me. You're me as you, and I am you as me. And we just happen to be us right now at the same time, experiencing different sides of the same infinity. And we can lean into that, we can be patient. We can be calm because we know that things will be okay, friends. You are going to be so fine. So fine. This is such a tough one. I think it's time that's important. Be sure to allow yourself time to understand how you feel, but the understanding of it is almost the most important. You empower yourself to then think and act. Spend time with yourself. And I genuinely believe, again, it comes down to patience. Like, you cannot spend time effectively with yourself if you don't practice patience. Pippi is being a little shenanigans machine. Like, I noticed this today. I was meditating, and I set my alarm for, at first it was like 13:33, so 33 minutes past 1. And then I was still sitting and meditating. I was like, no, I don't think I'm done. And then I extended my meditation alarm to 2, to 14, 100. And 1400 came along, and I was like, nope, don't think I'm done. And then I extended to 1414, and then it came, and I was like, nope, don't think I'm done. And then I extended again to 1434, 1434, as in one, and then 434 as hope, joy, and love. And I could be so patient. I could be so patient just spending time with myself. And today, I took so much control. I feel it's almost a little bit exhausting, but still worth it. I took so much control over my inner dialogue, where every single time I didn't spend a minute, like legitimately, I did not spend a minute today thinking thoughts I didn't want to think. Where every single time I noticed for even a moment a thought arising that wasn't serving me, I created a narrative, I created a new story. Specifically, over the last few days, I've been telling myself a story of abundance. True abundance in this moment, true abundance in friendships, true abundance in love, abundance in intelligence and wisdom, abundance in my ability to be happy, to enjoy this experience, my abundance of patience. And the more we do this, the more we practice, like keeping our minds in a certain, state of consciousness, the better we get at it. Practicing patience takes patience. That's the paradox of it as well. Patience is a virtue, and it's an important one. Who needs tears? Coco! So nice having you here as well, friend. So good to see you. Thank you for joining us. The blanket looks so warm and cozy. It is. It's a blanket that my now deceased grandparents used to use. And I was thinking about that today when it rained. Like while I was meditating. Like both my grandma and my grandpa died last year. And these blankets we got from them. I mean, yeah, technically. And I was like thinking about that. I was wondering if any of their energy is present within this blanket. And just me thinking about them, technically, yes, they are. Because I look at the blanket and then I think of my grandma, I think of my grandpa, and then there they are, present with me, even in the form of a blanket, within the infinity, and yet now in this moment with us. Cartha, I was thinking about you today. Well, yeah, today and yesterday. More yesterday, but especially, today as well, dude. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. I've been curious about how your new job is going, man. Has been treating you well? Have the people been treating you well? And how have they been receiving you? Sorry for your loss, but the memory lives through you, Mel. Never forget that. Oh, I won't, Cartha. I don't really lament about death too much, and this might be a bit of a yikes, but I have a passive longing for death. I think about death a lot, and I think about death a lot alongside this feeling that I'm not only not scared of it, but I'm curious about it. And I have attempted suicide, and when I did, it only reaffirmed the understanding to me that if you commit suicide, you'll just have to do all of this over again. So the very thing that you want to know, you won't get to know until you finish what you're supposed to know, you know? So we have to live this life, friend. You have to live this life to the fullest that you can. You have to learn as much as you can so that you may be ready for the lessons that are to come. Like, to be a human right now is an absolute blessing. You can think of different entities within the infinity being envious of you as a human being right now. And I don't think death is a bad thing, friend. Quite the contrary. I think if you die when you're supposed to die, it will be one of the most beautiful things ever, because you're going to have experienced so much, and then that experience will then in turn inform your death. And when I think about death in that context, it makes me think of what it is I'm doing right now. I think of my death in a few different ways. I think of getting murdered occasionally. And if I don't think about getting murdered, I think about some freak accident where I do some sort of extreme thing, like I go skydiving or skiing, and then I wrap myself around a tree, or my parachutes don't open. And I'm sorry if these things are triggering, but no, we're diving into it now, smack dab in the middle of the infinity. And then the last one, I think of myself dying as an old man. I see myself as like a 500-year-old dude, and I'm like, okay, no more, no more longevity stuff, no more, gene editing. I'm okay. I'm gonna die now. And then being surrounded by people, having lived such a full life, having experienced so many things, and being able to, in that state, in that old man breathing his last breath state, being able to look back on my life and thinking, damn, I really went for it, huh? Yes, see, I really tried. I really did everything that I could. I really loved as hard as I possibly could have. I really showed people, a side of myself that will now disappear. And that, you know, being patient enough in this moment, knowing that I'll die one day, but not being in a state of angst, not hurting myself right now, thinking about that, but instead being as loving, being as present, being as gentle with myself as I can be. Because if I think about that death one day, I'll be happy that I was in this way. And it's a whole paradox. We're so powerful to be able to conjure up these images of our own death even, and yet we don't do it often enough. In Zen or in Buddhism as well. I don't know if it's so much in Hinduism, but it's very much so in Buddhism. Contemplating death is a very big part of the practice. To realize that you will die one day, and to try and live right now with the realization that you are the living, that you can experience the infinite spectrum of beauty, and that you don't have to be impatient, grasping for one thing or another because it will end no matter what you do. Even if we figure out hyper technology, and I do believe in our age, we will. We will live hundreds of years, potentially thousands of years as human beings. But if we cannot be present in this moment, if you cannot be happy in this moment, why would you want thousands more of it? Why would you want to live for thousands of years if you cannot even be happy right now? And really, really asking yourself that and really taking that into consideration, playing with that. Goodness, I think I missed a few. Sorry, Kartha. I haven't gotten the job yet because of the holiday and weekend. I should get a call tomorrow, hopefully. I'm sure you will, Brother Bay. Believe it. Like, don't even think it. Just, I will get a call tomorrow and be thankful that it has already happened. I've been there too. You're here for a reason. As much as you want to leave, before you fulfill your reason, as you said, will only bring your trip back around first. So I was like thinking about this today, Kartha. So it's like, it's very synchronous to me that someone asks, or someone kind of like guided me towards this feeling. But I was like imagining myself dying, during my suicide attempts, and I watched as there was like a new branch of the infinite universe created. One branch in which I am no longer in that existence, and then the other branch in which I continued within that existence. And this branch in which I was not part of the existence, I wasn't there to experience the growth that existence entailed. So it stops, right? It continues, but it stops for my infinity. And then this branch that continued, this branch that we're a part of right now, because I'm here, because we are here right now, it's the branch I'm supposed to be experiencing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. And it's a whole trip. It's a whole trip. You must love this life and the next as fully as you can for all it's worth. Absolutely. It's the only way, friend. Life could never come full circle without death. And will death really be as meaningful if you were not to live, to really live? Life loses meaning when we become immortal, but death immortalizes us in life. This is life death paradox. We cannot be immortal, Kartha, even if we figure out conceptual immortality as human beings, where we have our cells rejuvenating perfectly and we have, like our telomeres, we have a means to reform our telomeres, the little damage that they've done, to be able to reverse that. If we have the ability to completely reverse our aging cycles and doing so in a consecutive slash cyclical way, even if we figure that out, and we actually are figuring all of that stuff out right now, we will still not be immortal. Not truly. Not immortal in the way that you already are. Because this life death paradox is something that we become attached to in the 3D realm of existence, when in fact you are soul, you are awareness, you are the infinite. There is no birth, there is no death within soul, within awareness, within presence in this moment. And then we get so attached. We get so attached to our vehicles that we imagine if it dies, everything dies along with it. What makes you think that non experience exists when reality as we know it is not even appearing as it is? Like you are not even experiencing the fullness of what reality is right now. You're experiencing but fractions of reality. So, how can you even for a second imagine that there is such a thing as non experience? There is nothing. Huh? You are the everything, friend. Death is the road to all. I heard that in a movie and it stuck with me. That is a good one. Anyway, I got to get to breakfast. Have a great day, Mel. Keep patiently waiting. See you soon. Thank you, Kartha. For the love, Mr. Disco. So much love to you as well. Again, thank you for your support, friend. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting in what it is I'm doing, for what it is I'm trying to do, and for being in this journey with me, friend. I look forward to seeing you again very soon, Kartha. Such a tough one. Make yourself then act. I had a dream about Mel streaming in the snow with mutton chops and a mustache. Real big ones. Real big mutton chops and like a. The more I think of it, the more illustrious the mustache becomes. Thank you, Gob. Thank you for dreaming of me, Brother Bay. I hope it was a beautiful one nonetheless. Streaming in the snow, goodness. I cannot, cannot imagine me doing that actually, but I would try to. The disappointment now reconstructs yourself. Be with yourself. Focus on yourself. Try out new ideas and explore the idea of your mind. Always find ways to heal and have control over yourself, and these things will get easier. Mm. Kayana, thank you for teaching, and in teaching, being the teacher of yourself as well. What I have found to work anyways works with me as well. Fatty, do a toe reveal. You want to see my toes? There you go, friend. Toes revealed. That'll be $111.11 on my Patreon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And by the way, actually, I don't know if I want to take a screenshot. I'll show the YouTube friends. You want to see something cool, Jovan? Look at this. Whoop. 100 and Juan watching. So yes, friend, for the toe reveal, thank you. I have a Patreon. I feel like I'm pushing it now a little bit. Thinking about impermanence lately, how it helps to create meaning in things. I've grown to love it. And also about death. How most of the pain that comes from death is experienced by the deceased, not the living. Yeah, the living is okay with the dying. The dead are okay with dying. Let me say it that way. Very much so. Because they're dead. If they weren't okay with dying, they wouldn't be. I don't know, that's a bit of a yikes, but bear with me. Hey, love to Aunt B. Thank you for joining us, friend. It's nice to have you here with me. Also have a similar perspective concerning death. I don't think it's scary at all, Molly. I just think it's important for us to live. Otherwise we wouldn't be living. Otherwise we would be dead already. It's a paradox of like death is not scary, but we're living for a reason. And you cannot live without signing up to dying. So you weren't scared enough to not live because you knew you were going to die. So why are you scared to die instead of just living? As far as I'm aware, I'm super very afraid of death. But I'm super not very afraid of death, but I'm incredibly afraid of pain. I don't like ouchies, physical or emotional, and I've done a lot of acceptance around my own death, but I have had a hard time dealing with the death of others. Something that will forever stick with me. This book that I read called The Five Invitations by Frank Ostaseski. One of the things he said really kind of like stuck with me, where he mentioned that lamenting, ceaselessly lamenting, and hurting ourselves and potentially the people around us because of the death of someone is a very selfish thing to do. Because the alternative, if you had ultimate power, is for that person not to die. And that person might be, in dying, going to a place exponentially better than this one. They might have done so much work with their soul that they are worthy of learning lessons that we cannot even fathom right now. And you choosing to hold on to them, even in pain, is selfish. Because how can you know? How can you know what is better for them than they know what's better for them? And to, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that there is only beauty, that there is only love, there is only the experience of consciousness going forward into the infinity for every single one of us. It allows me, at least, to think of death a little bit more gently. Worldly Assumption says, "Hey Melty, just stopped by to say hello. Struggling in my journey, but I still have 3 weeks of sobriety." Hey Melty, stopping by to say hi. 3 weeks of sobriety. Thank you. Thank you so much, Worldly Assumption, for sharing that with me. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of admitting to yourself that you do not need anything outside of yourself. 3 weeks of being a clear channel to the infinite nature of yourself. 3 weeks of just allowing yourself to be with that. Thank you, friend, for encouraging and for inspiring me as well. So much love to you, Worldly Assumptions. Hope to see you again. Hope the dogger is doing fine. Has your foot come out of the cast? Talking about foots out of casts, I don't. I wonder if Kira Burp's foot is out of her cast yet. I am empathetic, and I help others through the death of others. The pain stops, I promise. I live with chronic pain, both physically and mentally, and I assure you, all pain goes away. Sending you hugs. Thank you, Molly. I hope that the pain that you're experiencing physically and emotionally goes away as well. So proud of you. So proud of you, my friend. I've struggled so much this week on my family issues, helping my son, but I'm staying sober. Please continue to. Worldly assumptions, it will always serve you, friend. You know, and you're doing it for yourself. You're being patient, you know, and I think that is such a beautiful example, especially during today's stream. This is awesome. I'm proud of you. Keep on the path, keep control, remember your inspiration, stay connected. That is it. Ready for coffee. I'm brewing a cup right now. Staying strong, friend. You're loved. So much love to you. How many cubes have you eaten over my life, your vices? You've asked that question a few times before now. So if you really want an answer, I've had more than 100 psychedelic experiences. Over the last 2 years, I've had maybe 8 or 9, most of which were cube experiences, if you will. And I was pushing it a little bit at one point. You know, like last year I went over to a friend's place and I had just, let me say, I just picked some fruiting bodies, you know, and these fruiting bodies were drying, and then I went into like a whole month of sobriety, no coffee, no marijuana, no anything. And after that, I went through to go and stay with my friends. And then me and my friends, we did some conscious work. Like we did a session with the three of us that was like a 2 gram experience, maybe 2.5 gram experience. Then me and Christian did a 5 gram experience alone, which absolutely melted my mind and allowed myself to reconsolidate on the other side of an understanding of infinity that I did not have before. It literally changed everything, changed the logo of this space. You know, it was quite surreal. Then I had a experience with my other friend, the one that I did it with when we were three, you know, and that was like a very gentle experience. It was like a 1 gram experience, and we watched a little bit of the regular show, and it was just watching the regular show alongside the cubes was definitely an experience of growth to me as well, where I was like really paying attention to the subject matter and acknowledging and paying attention to how I was feeling, why I was feeling, where the feelings were coming from. And then after that experience, I had another experience during New Year's where I had 4.44 grams. And that experience was, I feel, as close to what I thought I've needed from a psychedelic experience in a long time, where it showed me my life lived in two ways. It showed me my life lived in absolute abundance and zero lack ever. And then it showed my life in zero abundance, you know, like exactly in the state I am in right now, continuing in the state I am in right now, indefinitely. And it showed me dying with loved ones surrounding me, and the understanding that got elicited rather from that whole experience was that what's most important is my loved ones. And I got to spend some time with my family during that New Year's experience. And I was still, even though I got this message so clearly, for some reason, I still felt there was more to the message that I was missing. You know, I got the message and I was experiencing the message, but I was like, the message might have been not as resounding. Like I was like having the message screamed at my face, but I was like, yeah, like I didn't hear all of it. And then I decided to take 7.77 grams, you know, basically 8 grams of cubes. And then it happened. You know, I started the whole experience off sitting here in the middle of the field singing, well, chanting. I was like, "Hey, I was just, I mean, I'm kind of like simulating right now, but it legit like there was things coming out of me, like all of the tension, all of the insecurities, all of the self doubt, all of the perspectives that do not serve me, just absolutely melted out of me. And goodness, yeah, 7.77 grams of cubes are definitely not gentle. Let's say it. Let's say it that way. And I kind of had my ass handed to me, but not in a way where I was having a bad time, just in a way where I was so aware that I couldn't human properly. I was like, oh goodness, how am I supposed to eat food and drink water and walk? I mean, I could do all of those things, but it was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, holy shit. This constant, ceaseless barrage of am, I am, I am, like a deep, deep recognition of that I am without needing anything, without being anything other than that fundamental I am. And since that experience, I'm not scared of the psychedelic experience, but I'm definitely a lot more respectful. Like I don't get visuals the way that normal people do. For some reason, my trips tend to be a little bit more mental, where I have revelations and visions when I have my eyes closed, and understanding gets visualized for me, and I get to see the world from a perspective that I don't usually have, maybe. But I don't get the visuals, and what people tell me about what mushrooms were supposed to be when I initially got into it was like, oh yeah, the walls are gonna melt, and you won't be able to not see the grass dancing in front of your eyes. And I was kind of like fascinated about all of these things people were telling me. And then I started eating the the cubes, and none of these things happened to me. And I was like, oh, I guess I need to eat more of them. Guess even more, and, up until 7.77 grams, and it still didn't happen, but it happened. What was supposed to happen to me happened. And now I realize that I don't need to have psychedelic visuals. I don't need anything. I need to love whatever is as the I am, authentically, without filter, without expectation. And now when I, take even a little bit, all of that comes back to me painfully almost. It's like being so aware that you're uncomfortable. Thank you for asking your vices. I agree completely, fam. I appreciate you asking, friend. Love to you. First time here, super interested. Super interesting conversation. How do I stay patient when I see myself falling into a bad financial situation or any other unfortunate experience? I'm a college student and I love it, but I'm hurting financially. Oh, Pineapple Garden. That's brutal, friend. Just taking a breath with you right now. Like I wish I really knew. I want to say fortunately, but I don't know if that's necessarily the correct terminology in this current context. But let me use the words that's coming to my mind. Fortunately, I didn't go into that fractal. I was encouraged to go and study to become an engineer, but I didn't want to take on the financial debt in the same way. That financial hurting to go into debt for like 4 years and then to try and start making a living and paying that debt back. It's again, friend, within the context of infinity, Pineapple Garden, you are gonna be so fine. This education you're getting right now is going to serve you. These moments of growth, in this financial way, in this like potential to meet people, in this space where you are with what you have right now, what you're doing right now. That is how we get at that patience, friend. Like knowing that you will be okay eventually within the context of infinity. Like we get so caught up with what's gonna happen in the next year, what's gonna happen in the next 2 years. Sometimes we don't even think that far. But think of everything in the context of decades. Like literal decades, like 40 years into the future. Where are you? Do you think you're still gonna be worrying about your financial hurting in this moment? And again, I'm a strong believer in manifestation, Pineapple Garden. So it's this dual-edged sword that I'm trying to suggest of not only seeing yourself as the infinity, seeing yourself as the middle of your infinity, seeing yourself as infinitely capable, but also at the same time believing without a shadow of a doubt that your future that is approaching is you're clicking through to your future right now is going to be a good one. It's going to be one where you are financially free, where you don't have these financial struggles, and you'll be so financially abundant you'll be able to help people instead of being dependent on people. And to believe that, to actually believe that in a way that you would believe in yourself, in the way that you believe when you jump over a puddle of water that you'll land on the other side. I believe in you. Pineapple Garden. I look forward to seeing you again, friend. It's what you do with the message. Yeah, that's it, your vices. That's it, friend. It's always what you do with the message. But sometimes we're bad students, right? Thank you. I haven't had to handle this type of pain in a long time with my parents and all. With my parents. And all it makes me think of what is inevitable. I will miss them, but this conversation has helped me as a reminder that there is more to understand. Okay, Anna, I'm also in the same trip sometimes, Like, when it comes to death, my parents dying is the one I have the most resistance to. My parents and my siblings dying, and my friends dying, because those are the people that I love so truly that I would fight the universe if the universe took them from me. But the universe doesn't take anything from us. The universe is us. So it's a whole paradox, Kayana. Thank you, friend. Thank you for being here with us. How am I supposed to human after all of this? I can't relate to these people anymore. Been there before. Yes. Yes. Very much so, Gob. We are like, how am I gonna human being again ever? Infinity is in the man's heart, but that might never find out of work. Out whoa whoa whoa. Infinity is in man's heart, that he might never find out the work of the true God from start to finish. Giggity stew. I might be agreeing with you. I don't think you're wrong, but on the most fundamental level, you are. God is that infinity within your heart. And we won't be able to understand or to work it out, as you mentioned, because of that infinite nature. Like, as a human being, we are not infinite. As a soul, we are. But as this, right? If I take this stick and push it in my eyeball, I'm gonna be like, fuck, that hurts, yo. Right? But I cannot push this stick into my conscious, into my awareness right now, into the I that we always are. You know, I cannot do that. So it's that place, it's that infinity, it's that ceaselessness, it's that untouchable, unstoppableness, that infinite love that we can identify with, and that I think is the only solace I found. Mushrooms are teachers that they are. Hey, Kira Burp! I was talking about you just a while ago. Is your cast off of your foot just yet? You haven't let us know in a while. Thank you so much, Kira Burp. I'm studying music, and it's the most fulfilled I've ever felt. Oh, dude, that pineapple. Isn't that just like an absolute blessing? The words you just said, to feel the most fulfilled that you've ever felt. Do you know how many people would give everything? How many people would give all the financial stability they have right now just to feel what you're feeling? Just to feel fulfilled, just to feel like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, like, be patient with that, friend. Just be patient within that state of existence. Like, and like, rejoice in being able to feel this financial struggle. You know, you're gonna look back on it with joy. You're gonna be look back at it with envy potentially in your future, being like, damn, I really had something figured out at that point in my existence, but I was so caught up with the financial side of it that I couldn't see it for what it was. Been there, doesn't last forever, but the education will last the rest of your life. Just hang in there, stick it out. Education lasts for the rest of your life. You cannot unlearn. You can maybe forget, but you cannot unlearn the truth of the existence that you're living. It's definitely tough. I had to get creative in many ways for meals and gas money. I ended up working 2 jobs while in school, full time, and I burnt myself right out. Human beings should not be expected to do stuff like that. We're creating a world in which that will no longer be expected of us. I'm trying my best. While it's hard right now, it's totally worth it when I get to learn and do what I love. That's the way. Pry open your third eye. I'm not sure if we should pry it open. We should breathe it open, you know? It's like a gentle melting of all of the layers that we have put between us and our third eye. Exactly. Coming over to send you healing thoughts, lovely burp. Have you ever done peyote? No, I haven't, Miss Mouse. But that might not be truth for very long because it won't be peyote, but it would be San Pedro. So it's still technically the masculine molecule. Yes. I have a friend who has a massive cactus. It's been growing in his front yard since he was like, since he moved there at like 6 years old or something. And he never knew until he became friends with me. And I was like, you do realize you have a Giga Chad of a San Pedro cactus growing in your yard. And he's like, what? I'm like, mescaline, that plant compound, similar to dopamine, bonds with your brain and causes hallucinogenic, experiences. He's like, yeah, yeah. You have one of them growing in your yard. So yes, Molly, I might actually, and I haven't, shared in quite this way, but uh, fortunately, I wanted to say unfortunately, but I'll say fortunately, the psychedelic experiences that comes along with peyote can like last up to 12 hours. So when we eventually go through that experience, I might be in this moment with you friends, smack dab in the middle of that peyote experience. Most people are never fulfilled. Most people are never fulfilled, friend. San Pedro, yeah, yeah, right. Most people are never fulfilled, friend, and it's not because it's impossible to be fulfilled. It's just because we don't realize that we already are. We don't, we're not patient enough to acknowledge just how much we have. We're not patient enough to sit with what we have. We're not patient enough to sit with ourselves as the very thing that it is we have. And it was so beautiful. Like we were talking about meditation yesterday during the podcast, and Christian mentioned that it feels like he's wasting time when he's meditating. And my point to that was, why? Why is it you feel like you're wasting time? And he's like, oh, I could be, spending time doing something else or something like that. And my point was that if you are you right now, that spending time with you is the only thing. Like, it's because this life is finite. The you that you are right now and being able to spend time with that version of yourself is one of the most fleeting, one of the most significantly beautiful and rare experiences, a gem of experience that the universe could ever hold. Just you, just your life, just your person, your thoughts, your experiences, your way of seeing the world, your love. Spend time with you, friend. You deserve it. Love to the Kira Burp. I don't know if Kira Burp heard me, but I'll send her more love nonetheless. That is such a blessed experience. Try to be the best and to focus on the good and all of the opportunities that this will provide you. Breathe the rough stuff. Thank you, Aunt B, for that encouragement as well. I hope Mel's lullaby lulls you into a healing slumber like a cozy cat's purr. I love that. Thank you, Jovan, for letting me say those words. A peyote and a sweat lodged opened the part of me that I am always conscious of. I feel that coming from me as well, Miss Molly. I've never had an experience like that. Most of my psychedelic experiences were uh, H2A receptor experiences. Stuff that bonds with our serotonin receptors. So lysergic acid, psilocybin, or by extension psilocin, and then dimethyltryptamine. And then technically, actually, I don't need to tell you more. Most of them have been psychedelic in nature, but I've never had an experience with the mescaline molecule. It's an odd one because it technically bonds with our dopamine receptors, but it causes a psychedelic experience. So the way that I interpret it with the understanding I have of molecules is that it's going to give you more information while at the same time bonding with the part of your brain that tells you you're doing a good job, and that is an interesting infinity. Love you, sister. We love you, Kira Burb. Rest, so wish I could take care of you, friend, or take care of all of the things that you can focus on so you can focus on healing. You are on the, we just have to heal, friend. We have to be in this moment. We have to be patient so that we can heal. 3D is treasured between 6 points, forward, measured between 6 points, forward, backward, left, right, up, down, unfolding from the third equally away at all planes, forms the fourth dimension, and 2 more points to measure between. We call this time. Time is a mechanism that controls how long we are here, even to how long this dimension is here. Infinity exists outside of this dimension due to time. Patience can only be relative to our time here. Yes, while at the same time we can live into a state of timelessness, Professor Gu, and you've done this, friend. You've done this as well. I know you've done this, right? Like that experience of timelessness, of being so in tune with consciousness, with the part of ourselves that lives outside of time, lives outside of physicality, lives outside of dimensionality, and just is consciously aware infinitely. When we become so identified with that part of ourselves, time melts away. Our body melts away. Our experience melts away, and we just are. And it can be jarring sometimes, and it usually is when it initially starts happening to me, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm melting, and then I'm like, yeah, melt more, dude, and then I'm like, oh yeah, turns into goo. How about it, Professor Goo? Love you too, Auntie. We love you. DMT is great. I mean, your body produces it. Your body produces it in similar quantities that it produces serotonin and dopamine in your brain, your vices. How surreal is that? I think that you're doing a great job. Part of my brain is broken. In a lot of people, it is on Beam. In a lot of people, it is. And with the way that we were raised, we were very rarely told. I still in my life right now, I'm very rarely told that I'm doing a good job. You know, and I mentioned this to my family recently, where they were battering me about two things. Me eating potato chips in the middle of the night, and I don't do that because I want to. It's usually like an addictive impulse, and I've tried to silence that part of myself. But that, and then the other thing that they mentioned was, I think maybe uh, reflecting. I think reflecting is the word maybe that was used. Like I'm trying to translate an Afrikaans conversation to an English one and to remember it in English. Anyway, and in that moment, right, like they were pointing out the things I was doing wrong, and I can agree that I could, be doing better in that way, but we're so unlikely, we're so resistant to the fact even sometimes to tell people what they're doing right, to praise them for that a little bit. And it gets to the point where we don't even praise ourselves. We don't even believe that we're doing anything correctly because clearly the world isn't telling us that we're doing anything correctly. But you are the only one that can believe that you are doing things correctly, Aunt B. And your children have gained size to the point that they are in right now, instead of being in the ground somewhere. I'm sorry, Aunt B, to be extremely visceral. So you have literally raised these beings from small little bundles of human to living, breathing, functioning, communicating, experiencing entities on planet Earth. You know, if that isn't you doing a great job, I don't know what is. So believe, on B, you have to believe that you are doing a great job. You deserve that at least. Lenzi, thank you for joining us, friend. I've missed you so much. It's such a pleasure having you in the space with us again today. Hi, doll. Beautiful day. How are you? You're doing a great job, Mel. Uncle Beck, Aunt B. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel I am. I do feel I am, Eden. And I do believe that about myself, you know. Like, fortunately, you friends might not have told me that I'm doing a good job directly. You have done that as well, but seeing you friends grow, seeing how you have become more powerful, seeing how you believe in yourself more, that is my success. That is my you're doing a good job, right? Like being able to notice how you friends have become more than I could have ever imagined. That is my success, and I'll be successful forever because of it. Thank you, friend. Thank you so much for the love. Mom Bird heard that, and I'm awake to say that you are doing an amazing job, and I'm proud of you every single day, Melty. Thank you. Mm, thank you. Thank you so much. Kira Burb, I appreciate that. Kristen, I love you to bits, friend. I call this floating, totally conscious, yet physically I feel like I'm floating. Time, while practicing this, floats away. Ah, I call that melting. Molly, and it's the same understanding as we're alluding to. I just happen to have melted into a certain way of seeing it, a certain way of thinking. Infamous sock. Hi, Melt. You're wearing my favorite color. Well, I guess I'm wearing it for you, friend. Like, it's the first time I'm ever wearing this scarf, Infamous sock, and here you are to experience it. So thank you for joining us. It's so hard, so proud of you, so damn proud. Aunt B, you rock. I do not say that lightly. Will you believe it, Aunt B? That's the real question. Will you believe all of this love that is being sent your way? Why don't we? Mm. Why don't we believe? Because we're not believers. We're doubters. Now I know what I'm talking about tomorrow. Be a believer, not a doubter, friend. If people talk about you, you want them to tell others, hey, this is a believer. He believes in everything. He believes in love. He believes in compassion. He believes in finding joy and beauty in the ordinary. He believes in dancing. He believes in singing. He believes in expressing himself completely. Instead of them having to talk about, yeah, this dude doubts that I'm caring about him, doubts that I love him, doubts that he's capable of anything, doubts that the world is gonna be okay, doubt. We'll talk about this tomorrow. I'll spend the next 24 hours thinking about this, knowing what it is we're supposed to say. How much more can we believe? And then on the most fundamental level, I'll leave you with this before we talk about it tomorrow, and I'll touch on it again. You should believe in yourself. My dad is such a character, and he's very invested in the Christian way of seeing the world. And he shows me this meme and it's this whole paradox, right? Like my job is to empower the individual. I genuinely believe, like within the infinity, my point is to convince you that you are that crossing point of the infinity, and then from that you have infinite potential going forward. Like that is my job. And he shows me this meme where he's like, Satan doesn't tell you believe in me, he tells you believe in yourself. And I'm like, huh, Satan sounds like a pretty radical dude. that. And then he gets angry at me. Like to not believe in ourselves, to believe we're nothing is what brought us to where it is we are right now. To reduce ourselves just to the matter, to reduce ourselves to flukes, to chance, to noise within the cosmic infinity. No, hell no. Sure, I'm making noises right now, but these noises can make us feel things. And these feelings are what we're here to experience. So I thank you, Fred. I thank you for feeling with me today. What people say about you says more about themselves. Yeah, we don't see what we want, we see what we are. Infamous sock. Much love to you. Much love to you, Fash. Joel, thank you, friend. You're a beautiful, wonderful person yourself. Thank you so much, Mel, Peach, and Care Bear, and Miss Mouse. Thank you, One P, for allowing yourself to be in this moment, for just paying attention. Like if you weren't here, Aunt B, you would not have this experience right now. And that's why I'll keep showing up for this space. Like I cannot even start to quantify how much. I mean, we're 55 souls, plus me, 56. 56 souls in this space right now, feeling, experiencing, thinking, breathing the same air, looking at the same world, but from different places, knowing that there is the infinite universe in front of you and the infinite universe behind you and you in the middle of it, in this moment with me, feeling out of that, feeling out of the infinity yourself. You're too kind of a soul, and I admire you so much, as we do you, Aunt B, as we do all of you, friends. The fact that you're here right now says so much about you, And again, that's the thing that keeps tripping me out. Like I could be doing what it is I'm doing right now, sitting in the middle of a field, speaking about the stuff that's coming up in myself, but it wouldn't mean anything. You, yes, you, friend, you are the one that means something. You are the one that generates, makes meaning out of these words that I'm saying right now. If it's not for you, there is no meaning. Your life, your experience, your potential to touch others' lives is the meaning. Your life is the meaning of life. I love you. I love you so much. I love you sometimes painfully, like I trip myself out. I cry. I cry because I love you so much and I cannot do more to help you in my current state. But this is too something that I have to be patient with. You again! Hello, you fella from Africa. Hello to you, no supermarket. Hello to you, friend. I freaking love you. I Rahan love you to bits. Love you so much that it hurts my heart to imagine not loving you. So thank you for allowing me to love you in this moment. Thank you for spending so much time with me, friends. I will be here again tomorrow. Give us a follow, and then I'll check you again. You know what? Actually, while we're here, I have a Patreon. I do have a Patreon, and I might have lost like all of you. Like, oh goodness, this dude. Yes, yes, I do have a Patreon. And I've been so grateful for it. Like I've never been able to imagine abundance in that way. And now the more I do it, so let me add some more context. This Patreon, I created it from this perspective of being open to receiving abundance from the universe, you as the universe. And I was like, yeah, I like that idea, and I am trying to give back to the universe, but I don't like the idea of people just giving me money for the sake of it, right? And then I kind of consolidated onto this understanding that I'm going to make flowers. So what I'm wearing right now, this blue scarf and this black and patterned shirt, I am going to add a bunch of textures. I'm going to add a bunch of, little blobules. I'm going to add some little variations, maybe some ripples, and then I'm going to fold myself into a flower. And then I'm going to give said flower to you, friends, and I think of it from this context of I am a masculine individual, but I am fully willing and constantly am acknowledging the feminine feminine side of inside of myself, the beauty of inside of myself, and then my masculine side as the ability to witness that beauty. And then I elicit that feminine side of myself in creating a flower, making something out of nothing. And then I elicit the masculine side of myself again to give this flower to the feminine in the way that I would give a flower to the person that I love. And then you again get to be the feminine in reception of this flower, but you also get to be the masculine part of yourself witnessing the flower, right? And it's a whole trip. It's a whole trip to me. And the fact that you friends have already been willing to support me the way you have irreversibly changed my life. Irreversibly with a single dollar. And that's how much it costs, by the way. It's $1. Then you get access to daily works of art. $1 daily works of art, and you irreversibly changed my life that way. Because $1 over the next 10,000 years is gonna change everything, literally. Love to you. Thank you, Kate, for joining us right as we're ending the stream. I love you. I love you too much. So much. Thank you, friends, for the support, for the love, for you being in this moment with me. I'll see you, friends, again tomorrow. Oh, Jovan, have I missed a few of the comments? No, I don't think I have. Good. Thinking about impermanence. Have a great day, everyone. Love you all dearly. Melton friends. Love you, Shannon. I hope you feel better, friend. I think I had the day you're having right now yesterday. And I'm happy that you're willing to feel into it. I'm happy that you're willing to be present with yourself. I'm happy that you're willing to be loving, even when it doesn't feel that way. You have been loving in this space. You have loved yourself. You have been patient with yourself. You have been patient with me to be in this space for as long as you have. And I acknowledge and I see you for that. Thank you, friends. I'll see you, friends, again tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.